A colleague said this to me last week. I know I make a lot of typos in my prompts, but these models are really smart. They, anyways, figure it out. She's half right. They do figure it out. But there is a hidden cost that you, me, and she bears when we do a typo, every messy paste, every sloppy prompt quietly costs you, me, and her. 2 years ago, the internet had a field day when someone asked this to GPT. How many R's are there in strawberry? It said two. People tried it on every model. ChatGPT, Bard, Claude. Some said one, some said two, some said three. But, people laughed and they said AI is dumb and moved on. It wasn't a joke. It was, in fact, the most important clue we had about how LLMs actually read. And by the end of this video, you'll know what Claude and many other LLMs really see when you type. And if you've ever made a typo in a prompt, you should really care. Quick question. How did Claude learn that strawberry is a fruit, right? Nobody typed out a definition that strawberry, small, red, sweet, grows in spring. Engineers fed Claude the internet, books, Wikipedia, Reddit, recipes, news, billions of pages. And Claude learned the way a kid learns, by relations. The word strawberry showed up next to jam, next to cake, next to red, next to sweet, millions of times. After enough repetition, Claude did not need a definition. It built a map of statistical relationships. Strawberry sits near fruit, fruit sits near food. Now, here's how OpenAI explains it in their own page. Models learn to understand the statistical relationships between these tokens and excel at producing the next token in a sequence of tokens. That's a word that is going to come back again and again because Claude wasn't actually reading the word strawberry either. But here's where it gets strange because Claude wasn't actually reading the entire word at all. Claude doesn't read the word strawberry. Read that again. Claude doesn't read words at all. It doesn't read letters either. It reads in chunks. Pieces of language, bits between letters and words. When you type it, Claude doesn't see strawberry. It sees two pieces, straw and berry. Two pieces, not one word, not 9 letters, two shapes, right? These shapes have a name, and this is exactly what is called as a token. A token is the smallest chunk of language Claude or any other LLMs were trained to recognize. Common words stay the whole. For example, the is one token, house, one token, run, one token. Rarer words, strawberry becomes 2, or in some places 3. Anti-disestablishment becomes 5 or 6. Every prompt you write gets chopped into these tokens before Claude sees it. And that's why the strawberry test failed. Claude learned what straw meant by relations. Yellow, hat, farm. It learned what berry meant the same way. Red, sweet, fruit, but it never learned what letters lived inside straw or berry. The shape doesn't carry that. Now, I want to show you a fun experiment. Right? OpenAI has this tokenizer in their website. Now, look at what I'm going to do, right? The word strawberry, strawberry, right? It's taken 3 tokens for this. So what is it doing? It's first breaking the word st, then raw, then berry, right? It recognizes raw and berry, so it actually clubbed, and then st, it made it into another token. Okay, so 3 tokens for one word. Now, the most interesting part. Let's say if I add the, suddenly the tokens have now gone from 3 to 2, right? Because what the LLM predicts is after the, in most cases, there is a whole word that comes, right? Now, it's become 2 tokens, the strawberry. Now, let's say we write, every space is also a token, right? Is, okay? Red and juicy, right? Full stop. 7 characters. Sorry, 7 tokens. Words like the, is, red, and juicy, etc. are now common words. Now, you see what happens when I actually make a typo. The strawberry, right? 7 tokens have now become 10 tokens, right? Now that is roughly like 40% higher tokens. Now with the tokenizer example, right? You visualized how it actually works. It is inevitable that we'll make a lot of typos. I also do. But it's important if it actually rings your mind as to what is happening underneath it. Maybe you will avoid 5 or 10. Maybe when you see it in your eyes, right in front, you will avoid it. And that saves Claude a lot of tokens, right? Because if you saw one of our first videos, which was why Claude forgets, it was about that Claude comes first time, reads the entire message till the bottom, and then replies every new message, right? So every time it is reading a typo and it is reading it again and again when you prompt, you're actually making it consume more and more tokens. And this becomes even more expensive when you actually just paste, PDFs. You just take a PDF, just do Control C and then put it and dump it in Claude. Now, Claude is actually reading through tons of data, which is like not needed, like bullet points. Some are bold, some are italics, some have weird structure. So, whenever you think about any PDFs or any documents, the best way is to attach it as a working file. Claude handles that really well rather than just copy pasting and adding that into your chat. Over the last 4 to 5 videos, if you see what I've been telling you are things which are very fundamental, right? And each of these things are going to make your workflows 1% better. And imagine now that you know 7 or 8 of them. And as you approach without, like, let's say, any further understanding, you now have every prompt that is going in being slightly better, and this edge compounds.